Attention facilities that manufacture, process, use, or store hazardous chemicals. This video presents important information regarding compliance with the Emergency Planning and Community Right to Know Law, SARA Title III. In response to serious environmental incidents during the 1980s in the U.S. and overseas, several far-reaching laws were passed. These laws are intended to provide citizens with substantial new information on chemical hazards they could potentially be exposed to, and require facilities that manufacture, process, use, or store hazardous chemicals to report their presence. One of these laws is the Emergency Planning and Community Right to Know Law, generally referred to by its acronym EPCRA, or sometimes referred to as SARA Title III, which is short for Superfund Amendments and Reauthorization Act of 1986. As the name implies, the key provisions of the law include a requirement for facilities that manufacture, process, use, or store hazardous chemicals to report their presence. It also requires submission of annual reports and public officials to plan for chemical emergencies, as well as the right of citizens to know about hazardous and toxicochemical inventories held by business in the community. The Community Right to Know portion of the law requires facilities that manufacture, process, use, or store hazardous chemicals to submit a list of them to the state and report an annual inventory of these chemicals by March 1st of the following year. This annual report is known as a Tier 2 report. The chemical information submitted in the Tier 2 report is maintained by the facility's respective Local Emergency Planning Committee, LEPC, the local fire department, as well as the State Emergency Response Commission, CERC. Your company is subject to these reporting requirements if you operate a facility that uses or stores 10,000 pounds or more of a chemical for which OSHA mandates that you maintain a safety data sheet, or if you use or store 500 pounds or more of an extremely hazardous substance that is listed on an EPA publication known as the List of Lists, or if the quantity of that substance is in excess of a threshold planning limit which is also found on that List of Lists. The emergency planning function of the law is the responsibility of local emergency planning committees, or LEPCs. There is an LEPC established in every county in the country. LEPCs are mainly comprised of local and state officials, police, fire, civil defense, and public health professionals, environmental, transportation, and hospital officials, representatives of businesses that store and use chemicals, as well as members of the community and the media. One important function of an LEPC is to develop emergency response plans based on the Tier 2 information and to review the plans at least annually. In order to do this, the LEPC seeks input from the facilities that manufacture, process, use, or store hazardous chemicals. These emergency response plans identify facilities that manufacture, process, use, or store hazardous chemicals and transportation routes of extremely hazardous substances. Describe emergency response procedures on and off-site. Designate a facility emergency coordinator to implement the plan. Outline emergency notification procedures. Describe how to determine probable release-affected areas and populations. Describe available emergency equipment and the persons responsible for them. Outline evacuation plans and require a training program for emergency responders. Another important provision of the SARA Title III EPCRA law is the Toxics Release Inventory requirement that mandates manufacturing facilities to report routine releases of some 600 listed toxic chemicals to the public and the Environmental Protection Agency. These releases must be reported immediately, within 15 minutes, to the LEPC, PADEP, and the U.S. Coast Guard National Response Center, NRC, 800-424-8802. A written follow-up report is required within 30 days. So what does this mean for you and your company? Well, if you manufacture, process, use, or store hazardous chemicals, be sure to keep an accurate inventory of what you have on site. Have a safety data sheet for each hazardous chemical, regardless of quantity, as OSHA requires you to do for the safety of you and your employees. If you store 10,000 pounds or more of any of those chemicals, be sure to report them initially and annually thereafter. If you store 500 pounds or more, or amounts in excess of the published threshold planning quantity of extremely hazardous substances found on EPA's list of lists, be sure to report them initially and annually as well. To view the list of lists, visit the EPA website listed below. If you are in doubt about the applicability of SARA Title III EPCRA related to your business operation, or have a question about any aspect of the law, you can simply visit www.epa.gov and search EPCRA, or call your LEPC for guidance. Your LEPC meets at regular intervals throughout the year, so why not consider joining other local businesses and attend the next meeting? In the end, it is the collaboration and interaction of responders, public officials, businesses, industry, and residents that improves the safety and quality of life for all of us. Remember, facility owners and operators must file an initial Tier 2 report within 5 days of when a hazardous chemical or extremely hazardous substance is first present at a facility. And a Tier 2 report must be submitted annually by March 1st for the entire previous year's inventory of hazardous chemicals and extremely hazardous substances. Tier 2 reports are submitted electronically into a secure database that is managed by the Commonwealth called the Pennsylvania Tier 2 System, or PATS. The Delaware County LEPC website provides a link to PATS where you can create a username and password or log into the system at www.lepc.org/pats.html. For further information regarding compliance with SARA Title III requirements and LEPC meeting dates, please go to the Delaware County LEPC website at www.lepc.org or call 610-565-8700. This video was brought to you by the Delaware County Local Emergency Planning Committee, Delaware County Council, and Delaware County Emergency Services.